What is up, guys? I have 22 books here. Oh god. Oh my god. Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you every single physical book I have on my TBR. I've seen people do this all over YouTube and I thought it would be fun. So let's get into it. So the first books I'm going to be showing you, my mom actually got them for me. She's so cute, so she gets books off of Amazon and then she sends them to my house, so I don't know they're coming. But when I get them, I'm super excited. So the first book that I got is called Stop Overthinking, so I'm guilty of overthinking, obviously. And this book basically gives you tips on how to stop overthinking. It says Stop Overthinking. It's a book that understands what you've been through, the exhausting situations you put yourself into, and how you get trapped in anxiety and depression. The book will provide you scientific approaches to completely change the way you think and feel about yourself. So basically it just tells you a bunch of coping mechanisms so you stop overthinking. Obviously not gonna read this whole thing in one sitting, but when I need it, I'm definitely gonna read it. Meet Me on the Boardwalk. But this is a book about Megan, and she falls for her friend Miles, and they live at this beach house, and her parents are out of town, so she throws a lot of parties. Meanwhile, Miles kind of falls for the opposite of what she is, so she feels like she doesn't really have a shot. So we'll see what that's about. I'm really interested in this book because not a lot of people have read this, so hopefully it's good. We'll see. And lastly is Listen to Your Heart by Casey West. I've heard a lot of good things about Casey West, so I'm super excited about this book. This is about a girl named Kate, and she's very shy. She doesn't really talk to people much or initiate conversations, so her friend forces her or pushes her to join this podcast, and she turns out to really like it until this anonymous caller keeps calling in asking about his crush and advice on his crush. And I don't know, it seems like a really good book. Again, I heard Casey West is really a good author. She obviously, I feel like she writes a lot of fluffy, fun romances, so I'm really excited about that. Then we have my favorite and most anticipated read is Pack Up the Moon by Kristen Higgins. This is about a man whose wife has passed away, and she writes him letters throughout the whole year that she's sick leading up to her death. And this sounds like such a sad book, but I'm so excited to read it because it just seems so good and I've heard so many good things about it. Next is Wilder Girls. I've actually tried to read this a couple times and I kind of fell off of it, so hopefully I get to reading this soon. But this is about a school that goes under quarantine and everybody's dying around them, so they're just trying to get through this quarantine and find out what's happening to their teachers and classmates. I got this around COVID time, so I thought it was pretty cool to read about quarantine when we're going through quarantine. Yeah, hopefully I get into this book because I've had this book for 2 to 3 years now, so hopefully I get to it soon. Next is Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. This is about a mother and a daughter, and they don't have a very great relationship between each other. When Clara's father gets into an accident, she goes around trying to find what happened to him and confide in this boy that she's technically not allowed to be with, and she's kind of forbidden to see him. It sounds really, really interesting, and it's by Colleen Hoover, so it has to be good. I have been trying to read all of Colleen Hoover's books, and I think I'm about 70% into it. I also have another book that I'll just show you guys real quick by Colleen Hoover, and it is Confess. I love this cover. I think it's so pretty. Like I said in my ranking cover videos, I really like when it's just a plain white cover with pops of color. I think that's really cool. Wow, I'll try to say that 10 times fast, but this is about Reed, and she's kind of trying to find herself because she kind of had a rough life, and she ends up falling for this artist, but he keeps all these secrets from her, so she's trying to find out what he's hiding, and it sounds really good. I'd like to think I'm an artist myself. I like to do a lot of art. It may not be good, but I think it's really fun, so I think it'll be really interesting to read about an artist and see where their story takes them. Next is Far From You. This is another book my mom actually bought me. I just forgot she did, but this is about Sophie, and she almost dies twice. That's on the back of the book, so it literally says Sophie Winters nearly died twice. So it's not a spoiler, I promise. So obviously that's related to a lot of secrets and trauma and stuff like that. So I'm excited to read about this book and how she died twice and everything that she has to deal with going through that. Next is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. I'm sorry if I haven't been saying the authors, I've kind of been forgetting, but I'm still new to this whole thing, so I'm sorry. But this is about a girl named Elle Whittemore, and she's really obsessed with, I think it's a show called Starfield. Yeah, it's a sci-fi series she grew up watching with her father, who has since passed away, and she sees a cosplay contest for the movie, so she obviously enters it, and the prize is an invitation to the ElxyCon cosplay ball and a meet and greet with the actor slated to play Federation Prince Carmidor in the reboot. It also has another perspective of Darian, which is the guy who plays in this Starfield movie that she's obsessed with. So it has two point of views, which I love, and it kind of shows him dealing with all of the famous controversy and living that life, and then it shows Elle, who's obsessed with this movie, and I think it's really cool to show the two sides of like being famous and being obsessed with what that famous person is known for. I think that's really cool. This book, I feel like this book is going to be a lot like, if you guys have seen Starstruck, it's one of my favorite movies. It's a Disney original. That was a really good movie, but I think it'll be a lot like that. Next is Her One Mistake by Heidi Perks. It says, what should have been a fun-filled, carefree day takes a tragic turn for the worst for one mother when her best friend's child goes missing in this suspenseful, compulsively readable, and darkly twisted psychological thriller. That sounds really good. So basically the main character, Charlotte, was looking after her best friend's child when she goes missing, and the police question Harriet, which is the mother of the child who goes missing, and Charlotte, who is the best friend who was watching her daughter when she went missing, trying to figure out what happened. This sounds like a really interesting book, and I'm really excited to read about it. I've also had this book for a long time. So on TikTok, I make these like monthly TBRs, and it shows all the books I haven't read that month, or all the books I still have on my TBR, and you'll notice that some of these books have been on my TBR for a long time. So I'm trying to get to these books before I go and read a book like Pack Up the Moon that I just got like a week ago. So if you want to see those, they're at Ariel, I think it's Ariel Grigsby or Ariel Sky on TikTok. I'll put the link down below. Next is Layla by Colleen Hoover. She usually does romance, but this is more of like a thriller type thing. I think it has to do with a ghost. I have never read a book like this. Like, she has Verity too, and I haven't read that yet. So I was gonna try to read Layla first, and if I like the way she wrote it like this, which I'm sure I will, I'm gonna go ahead and get Verity. But this is about Leeds and Layla, and they are in love, and then Layla gets in a really unexpected accident which causes her to act very different than she did before. This sounds so interesting. I'm getting excited just talking about it. But she starts acting very different than she did before, and Leeds kind of doesn't know what to do. He's trying to get their relationship back on track, so he brings her to a bed and breakfast to try to rekindle things and get everything on track, when he meets this woman named Willow, who is also in the bed and breakfast. And at the end of the day, he has to try to make a choice on which one he should save from this unknown haunting type thing. I don't know if it's a haunt thing, but it does say love can haunt or heal, so I'm assuming that's what it's about. Don't quote me on it, but I'm really excited to read this one. Next is The Spanish Love Deception. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. It is very popular on TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on this. I've heard people who hate it so bad that they don't even want to look at it anymore. I've heard people say it's so boring and it's too long and all of this. I've heard that the story could be a lot shorter. I've also heard people say that they love it, so I'm excited to form my own opinion about it. But this is about Catalina, and her sister is having a wedding that she doesn't have a date for. So she has to try to find a date to this wedding in Spain when her co-worker volunteers to go with her as her date. What the problem is there is they absolutely hate each other. They can't even spend 2 seconds together without fighting. So I assume it's going to be like a love to hate relationship. I'm really excited for this. Again, it's a very controversial book. A lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it. So I'm excited to form my own opinion, and I'll let you guys know how I feel about it. This is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I've actually read Fangirl by her, and it was so good. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, but that book was, I just love that book when I read it. I want to reread it so bad. But I'm trying to get through the books that I have, obviously, that I haven't read, because there's a lot. But this is about Eliza, and she owns this online webcomic called Monstrous Sea, and her #1 fan is Wallace, and he actually moves to her school, so they kind of form a relationship, not knowing that she's the creator of this webcomic that he's obsessed with. So when they form this relationship, Eliza's secret kind of comes out and is shared with the world, and everything kind of falls apart. So she's trying to deal with that and their relationship and everything. It looks really good. I love the illustrations in this book. I think it's really cool. All of her illustrations are really cool on her covers of her books, so I'm really excited to read this one. Then we have Truly Devious. This is one of the books I've had for a very long time. I actually bought this book because of the cover, because I'm obsessed with this blue. I think that's my favorite color, blue, is this cover. But you can tell how long I've had this because how yellowed the pages are. It's kind of ridiculous. But this is by Maureen Johnson, and it's about this academy in Vermont, and Albert is the one who opens this school and creates this school when his wife and daughter get kidnapped, which is Iris and Alice. And a couple years later, Stevie Bell, who visits this academy, tries to find out what happened to them all those years ago and what is with this school that makes it so creepy and have those vibes. So I'm really excited for it. Haven't read it yet, been a long time, so hopefully I get to it. Next is The One and Only The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. This was literally made into a movie. That's how good it was. Can't say that about the movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I heard it's not good, but that's just what I've heard. But this is about Lucy and Josh, and they are co-workers, and they kind of fight and have these friendly competitions at work because they're very competitive with each other, and they're trying to compete for this promotion at their publishing company. So they go head to head for this promotion, and it kind of goes from a hate to love type thing. I've heard it's really good, and I'm really excited to read it. Hopefully I read it very soon. Next is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. This is about a single mother who turns up dead at the bottom of the river, and during the summertime before that, this teenager also goes missing in the river. So this 15-year-old girl tries to figure out what happened in this river and is trying to figure out what is in this water that is making people die at the bottom of it, and who did this or what did this, and it sounds really interesting. I love books that are surrounded by water and the fact of water. I think that's really cool. I'm also terrified of the ocean, so that's probably why, but not terrified, but like, I ain't going too far, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's Into the Water. Next is a very popular book. It's The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. This is about Olive, and her best friend is interested in her ex-boyfriend, and her best friend isn't believing her on her being out there and ready to date and over their whole relationship. She ends up kissing the first person that walks into the room, and the person she ends up kissing is a young professor named Adam Carlson, and he's kind of known for being a douchebag and being sarcastic and mean to everyone. So she asks Adam to be her secret boyfriend, so her best friend is convinced that she is dating and over her whole past relationship. Sounds really good. It's obviously a fake dating trope, so I'm really excited for this. A lot of people love it. So yeah, I'm so excited. Next is Speak. I actually watched the movie for this book when I was in school my freshman year, but I never got to reading the book, and I really liked the movie. This is a very deep book. Look up trigger warnings before you read this book. This is about Melinda, and she goes to a party and actually calls the cops at the party, so that results in everybody hating her. So her freshman year is kind of at a rough start, but when she finally speaks out about what happened at the party, everything will change. So this is a very, very important book, and I just want to educate myself on this horrible, horrible thing that happens to people. I feel like I watched the movie and it was very good, so I'm going to be reading this book and I will let you guys know how good it is. On a lighter note, this is Nicholas Sparks' The Wish. My mom also got this book. I don't know why I keep forgetting what book she got me, but she knows I'm obsessed with The Notebook. I'm a hopeless romantic and I'm not afraid to say it. So this is The Wish, and it is about Maggie, and she is sent to her aunt's house in Ocracoke. I don't know how to say this, so I'll put it on the screen. But it is a remote village in North Carolina, Outer Banks. I'm obsessed with the show Outer Banks, so I'm excited about that. I want to go so bad. But she meets this boy named Bryce, and he kind of gets her into this photography, and she actually starts her own business in it, and she becomes a travel photographer. So that sounds really good, and I'm very excited about it. Next is The Night Olivia Fell by Christina McDonald. This is about, so Abby gets a call that her teenage daughter has fallen off a bridge, and her daughter is brain dead, and she was also pregnant, or is pregnant, and she tries to find out if she fell herself or if it was an accident or if somebody did it on purpose. This sounds like a really good book and a really good mystery, and I'm really excited to read this one. The last two books I have is The Maze Runner by James Dashner. If you have not seen this movie, then you obviously live under a rock. Dylan O'Brien can literally have my babies. I'm not even kidding. He is so cute. But this is about Thomas. This is about Thomas, and he wakes up in a lift, and when he goes up to this, I don't know how to describe it, it's like a big maze, and there's a bunch of boys surrounding him, and he can't remember anything, And he comes to find out that in this maze is a bunch of creatures and everything, and they're trying to get out of this maze without dying. It seems really good. I seen the movie a couple years ago, so I'm really excited to read the book. And last but not least is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This is a very, very famous book. It is a classic. My mom also got this one. Obviously, she supports my reading addiction, but this is about a gripping, heart-wrenching, and wholly remarkable coming-of-age tale in a South poisoned by prejudice. It views a world of great beauty and savage iniquities through the eyes of a young girl and as her father, a crusading local lawyer, risks everything to defend a black man unjustly accused of a terrible crime. This sounds so good, and I really would like to read it. I'm not, I just don't pick up classics. Like, when I look at my TBR, this isn't the first thing I want to pick up, but I'm really, really, really wanting to read it because I heard it's a very, very good story, and I don't think I will regret it once I read it. That was all for today. I'm sorry if I wasn't very good at explaining these books. This is my first time doing this type of thing. I'm very new to this, so please disregard if I did something wrong. I'm really sorry. I'm learning how to do this whole thing, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you're having a good day or night. Thank you for watching. Bye, loves.